Wow, coffee and tools this week. Thanks for coming back. Continuing work on the RV, and today we're just going to install a plug. But I'm updating. It's an older RV, so it doesn't have all the latest, gadgets in it. But we're going to bring the old girl up to date a little bit with USB charging. And the first one I'm going to tackle right now is the one on the 110 side. So we had to go to Lowe's and get some goodies. First thing you're going to need to do is buy an outlet such as this one here. This is LaGrange, and they're okay. I like Hubble myself, but that doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. The 110 will still have a plug, which I don't really need, but it'll have two USB charging ports on the 110 side of the RV, which will allow me, when the RV is, say, plugged into at a trailer park, whatever, I'll be able to plug my stuff in and charge, such as the camera I'm using right now. Yeah, the cover plates, when you buy a cover plate like this, it just fits the switch, it fits the outlet, or in this case, one of these with the USB ports. They're all, generic as far as that goes. So the 98 cents or whatever for the cover plate's no biggie. These are kind of pricey. You're over $20 for a basic one like this. I was going to go with the full 4 ports, and I thought, to have a plug up the front in the dash where the USBs are going to be, in this case, is probably okay. I don't know if you remember, but we went to redid the front where the old television used to be, the big fatty old one, and I cut in and put a box in there, brought the line in. That's a 110 line. So we're going to go ahead and just connect this up and see how we do. Okay, so sorry about the weird angle. This line here is a 110 line that was used to feed the old television that was located here. So that's not a big deal. I kept the line, put a plastic, just a standard household type outlet box into it. So now what we're going to do is just going to add this plug. Now normally this is really not the way to do it. I mean, you really should be running a full 14-2 cable back somewhere to pick up power. So I've already got power here, cable's already here, and really the only thing I'm after is these 2 USB charging ports. Really don't really care about that outlet thing. And theoretically this cable was rated for 15 amps, which the manufacturers sometimes, I think they're pushing the level a little bit. But we're going to install this bad boy now. With this, it's pretty straightforward. You've got your ground, which is a little green screw. Your neutral side is your little silver screw here, and your hot, of course, is going to be in this. Well, in this case, the hot is actually marked with a black screw. Usually, it's a brass screw, but the black, that's cool. That's cool. It's okay. Yep, whatever. It's a fairly hefty unit because the power supply is in there for those 2 USBs for charging, and it'll be really handy. Like I said, this is a 1999 or 2000 Airstream, so it doesn't have all the latest gizmos for what we do these days with USBs. In fact, I guess when this was made, USB was probably just becoming a new hot item for a computer or something. Who knows? Anyway, so this is what you're going to need, and of course the decorative cover plate. Got to have I went with white. I probably should have gone with a better color match than white because it's not going to, look great against the dash. But down here, it's not going to bother me, and it's white. It's like, okay, whatever. If I had to do it over again, maybe I would take a look at a light almond or another color for this application. Won't bother. So the first thing I'm going to do is, I've already got this taped up because this was a hot line. So we're going to remove the tape. And let's see, we have a black. Huh. We don't have anything else. Whoa. There should be a white guy in here someplace. Yep. Okay, there's only a black and a white. There is no ground. This is going to be kind of sad because no ground. I can ground the system if I want, but for what I'm doing, and really what I'm after is the USBs, I'm probably just going to not bother with. I'm going to forego the ground, I think. I could wire a separate line from this to the chassis of the RV for the protection of the plug, but yeah, in this case, I guess we'll just, well, it looks like I'm going to need cutters. Wire cutters. Nope, no wire cutters. Be right back. Because this is not household wiring, this cable, it's going to be what we call stranded. And to connect stranded to something like this, a lot of times the manufacturers really aren't even set up for it. I'm just looking at this one, and actually, I'm surprised. It has a clamp type connection here. So if the stranded wire is wound up nice and tight and put in there under this clamp and then screwed down, it'll actually be a good connection. I was going to use what we call stake-on kit, or something that would take it and make it a solid. I'll just show you what I was looking at. Normally, a lot of times you would use something like, let's see, a good safe connector here. Now, this is a little bit big, but it gets the message across. Would be something like this. It would be, you know, a full stake-on or solderless connector, and that was because this is going to crimp to stranded wire and give you a really good solid connection that's hopefully safe. But because the plug I bought has the clamp style hookup, I can get away with it without using stranded. Like I said, I'm a professional, so you know, I just do whatever I want, even when it's wrong. I just go ahead and do it. I am licensed, so we're going to go ahead and see if we can get the rest of this black cable off, or get it stripped somehow. One of the ways when you approach something like this, you can do is what we call banana peel. And that's where I just cut it from the top and then split it down like a banana to try to expose the line that I'm after, which in this case is this little white guy. See, I just pull this back until I get enough of what I want, and then fold it over a little bit, and we'll just sort of clean that mess off so that it's gone. There we go. Now, the other thing I really like using is a proper, decent set of strippers. These are very old. I don't even remember. I think this was Ideal or something, strippers. And I really like using these. I've had them forever, but when it comes to stripping wire, there's a lot of fancy ones out there, but these old school jobs, I still think they're just the best for this kind of wiring, or even any kind of wiring, really. Now, I got to be careful. I only want to strip the plastic. I don't want to weaken the what's here. So I'm going to twist these guys together nice and tight. The other thing you should check to see is to make sure the power's off before you do something like this. And I didn't quite get as much as I feel. I mean, just a little bit more of that. Now I'm going to tie these together, and again, just sort of twist them really nice and tight, so that they're almost like a solid core wire. They're not. So if you put your tongue on them, you can find out if it's got power or not in the system. Oh, there's no power there. I guess we're safe, right? Yeah, when you're a professional. Oh, yeah, when you're a professional. So the next thing we need is, of course, is this unit, and these are really funky. You can use a nice number 2 Phillips screwdriver, and it'll hit the screw just nicely. And like I said, I don't know if, well, I'll show you that, but there's little clamps under those screws, so that'll clamp down really nice and tight. Normally I would have used a stake-on. I'd hate to repeat myself about that, right? Yeah, let's not repeat that. Let's try. Okay, so we've got the wire, and the other thing I wanted to do was make sure that I don't take too much of that wire, because eventually I'm going to want to remove this. I'm going to be putting another USB charging system in here, and when I do that, we'll film it, and we'll also show a link to the product. And it's going to be USB, but it'll be 12 volt side. So in other words, I can use those USBs on the 12 volt side anytime I want. This one here, I'll have to be plugged into power or the generator running something in order to have that USB option on this one. And the only reason I'm doing it is because I've got the space and the time to do it. So we're going to do it. Now, as I said, black wire. Obviously, in this case, going to go to a black screw. I'm really surprised. Usually it's brass, but hey, that's cool. Black wire, black screw. Cool. And we'll wire this bad boy up, and then we'll have to test it with something and see if it'll charge. And I'm making sure that my stranded side is up underneath that clamp, and the clamp even has a little bit of a a curvature in it, so when it clamps down, it grabs the wire, and there's the fraying, nothing is hanging out. So I'm getting all the full conductivity of copper wire that I want into this thing, and there's nothing dangerous or, you know, stupid going on. Now, the next one, same thing. I'm going to back it off a little bit. The other thing that's sort of goes back to old school is when you first come into these connectors, you sort of want the screw, as it's tightening down clockwise, to bring it in on the, in this case it would be my, say, my left side of that screw if I'm facing it like this. And that way, as the screw tightens down, it's also pulling on the copper to make sure it's absolutely tight. And a power screwdriver right now would be fantastic. The other thing I wanted to check was, just like I said, was to make sure that we don't take too much of this line up, because I really don't need all this in the box. You really need about 8 to 6 inches inside the box is plenty of wire. You don't need this ridiculous, you know, long piece of cable in here. The only reason it's in here like this was because the manufacturer, when they had the TV here, they ran this line to the television. And now we have the long process of turning. The other thing I'm doing with this one is I'm putting the USB on this side, and the reason for that is most of my stuff will probably be laying over here in this tray and plugged directly into that USB. So now let's go see if we can find a power driver. I'm not going to spend my whole day turning them silly screws. I'll be back. Okay, for those long screws, I just use a power driver, or in this case a little impact driver with a number 2 Phillips bit, so I can just, you know, drive these screws in, because they are long and they take forever. And who wants to spend their whole time turning their wrist? Now, that's nice and tight, or snug. Snug. That looks good. And now, to get this out of there, one thing that I hate, and sometimes you have to watch for it when you buy them at the store, is make sure you have both screws with this thing. And we do, so we're in good shape. And there's my cover, which we'll put on here. And standard screwdriver, which to this day they're still doing. And I think the manufacturers need to change to some sort of a dressy Phillips screw or head or something fancier, because these standards look a little antiquated. Now, when I put this on, you'll notice this is nice and tight and it hides the box fully. And it's only a 110 line, so it's really not handy for anything else up the front here that I can think of off the top of my head. So this will do just fine. And that'll give me my 2 USBs. Now, another problem, but not really. We're gonna have to find something to charge. The reason I'm filming this on, an iPhone that I never use for filming, so this is gonna be really weird. Normally I have an old 6 that I use because it can plug a microphone extension jack into it, and also I can run all kinds of cool stuff off the iPhone 6. The newer ones after that, as you know, became a problem. You had to buy adapters and cables and whatever to do it. So I keep the 6 around just for filming, not for anything else. It's not hooked up to the internet. It's not hooked up to for a cell phone. Nothing. It's just strictly. It's basically an iPhone 6. It's just a camera. You know, it doesn't do anything else. And so what I'm going to do is we're going to grab that phone and a little charging Apple charging cable for it. Plug it in. Also, I guess I'll have to turn the power on. Apparently, it's. I did the tongue and it's like it's not on. So yeah, we'll go see if we can get the power on. Be right back. Okay, so in order to check the new where is it over here? To check the new USB, we're going to plug in an old iPhone 6 on a charger, and of course the power's been turned on, so theoretically there should be power up here. I might be wrong about this. I really don't know, but let's plug her in. Well, bang, immediately start charging the phone. So seeing the phone is charging, cool. Yeah. So the phone's charging off this USB up the front here. Not now. Please go away. Go away. No, I don't want that. Unfortunately, this is such an old iPhone 6, but it's really handy as a quick portable, you know, camera or for video. and it has a great microphone, and it also has the jack for the extension microphone, so I can run, you know, the Rhodes or one of the other mics in it. So that's why I keep it around. Like I said, it's not a phone anymore. It doesn't even, I don't even have it turned on to hit the internet or anything, and I just use it for that. In fact, I took everything off of it and just sort of, it's just a really nice, flat, cheap video system. There's nothing else in it. Anyways, but there it is. It's charging on the USB because I turned the power back on for the system. And how I did that was I actually, this system, of course, is on, could be on a generator, but the generator's not running right now. So I'm plugged into my power on my pole outside here at the house, and just plugged into my regular 110 30 amp system for RV. So I put the plug back in the box. That energizes all the 110 stuff that's in the RV. It also helps to maintain the battery, so I've got a battery level charging system on board. There's a couple of other fancy, you know, thingamadooey switches in here that help to keep the batteries balanced or something. Don't even know what the heck some of this stuff does. I've looked at the electrical diagrams on the on it, and it's just sophisticated. But if you've ever owned a large boat, for say, you know, big old ship, the RV is so similar. It's uncanny how the wiring, the 110 systems, the 12-volt systems, pretty much the same stuff. In fact, the RVs like to call the cable shore power, which is what we called it when we had our little battleship that we used to sail around the Caribbean with. So same thing, you know, same crazy thing. Anyways, that's stage one, or phase one today. When we come back, stage two will be, it's here laying on the floor. Here it is. This is a USB system as well, but, and I'll provide a link when I get a chance. This is for the 12-volt side, and we'll have to do a little more wiring than this one. That wiring was already provided by, neat, the bag was open, stuff's falling out. Oh, cool. Screws, you name it. Yeah, great little Ziploc-y bag. Don't you love them? Anyway, this will be our USB 12-volt system, which will be, I guess I'll put that right above there or something, so I have the opportunity to charge phones, cameras, whatever, off a USB on the 12-volt side as well. The 12-volt actually will probably be handier, but when you're at a, say you're going to stay at a camping grounds for a couple of weeks or something, well, then you'll have the USB chargers right there, and you don't need to even bother the 12-volt side. So that'll be terrific, I guess. It's kind of an overlap, because if you have 12-volt, you probably have 110. If you don't have 110, you know you got the 12 system. So it's like, it's really an overlap, overkill, I guess, a little bit. Just like this outlet here, I don't really want it. I didn't want it up here, but because the prices on these plugs vary, there is one you can get with 4 USBs on it, but the cost is almost double. It's like, what's the point? You know, I need at least 2 ports. I don't ever really need more than that, or I can you know, make a. I've got systems that will allow me to split that, so and turn it into 8 or whatever I need. So there's no point in having more than that. I could turn it into 12 USB charging systems with one of those little, you know, computers where it just has all the little USBs on it, and just plug it into that. I'd have more USBs to use. 2 is plenty. The only other place I would like to have a USB port, and I'll have to think about it, is if you have a dash cam, they usually, the new ones at least, plug into a USB port. Well, that would be really handy if you had a USB port on the ceiling. You know, if you had it up on the ceiling, then you could put the camera near the top of the window, plug it into the USB port, and your camera would be good to go, or, you know, ready to go. Manufacturers haven't caught up with us yet. I guess they will in the near future. But hey, crazy times at Coffee and Tools. When we come back next episode, we'll be doing the 12-volt system.